I lied. There
You
was
lied.
like half a second. There was a half a second delay.
Yeah.
So
welcome to episode 216.
Yep. In year 5.
That's
pretty. Mm-hmm. What do you think about
Still
that?
Chugging. I think it's great. I mean, I think that it's we've had a lot of great guests. I think it's great that we don't run out of new guests, and I think that it's also great that there's people that have been on the list that we want to get on the show that we just haven't had a chance to get on the show because schedules don't work out. So when you look at that from like a macro level, it's like, wow, there's some interesting things that are happening within the region to continue to feature so many people. So from that standpoint, I love it.
So this was Tim's take, but podcast style. That's what you're telling me.
Yeah, and we kind of paved the way for first-time podcast appearances.
Oh,
right?
God. What? Yep. That's you know what? I'm going to go ahead and change my LinkedIn to say like something along the lines of that. You know, I welcome the opportunity to provide people a platform to give.
Break them in for greatness.
I do want to, you know what? Is there a list of all the contact information of everyone that we've ever talked to? Because we need to have this list to figure out if that is, in fact, the case, that we are the cherry poppin' daddies, if you will, you know?
Yeah, but dude, I love that aspect in the sense that, you know, we expose, we bring to light founders from this region. I think that from that standpoint, it's awesome. So,
yeah.
Kudos to you, Zach.
You can't see this, but behind the scenes, James Doe is laughing his tail off after what I just said. So, you know, great. Tim doesn't even know what I said. It's fine.
I know what you said. I'm just rolling with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you guys know each other?
We met at Start Peninsula. You are a recent micro pitch winner of Start Peninsula 2024. But that's it. Welcome to the show, Andrew.
Yeah, happy to be here.
Yeah, it's been.
What year is that? So I know it's 2024, but it's only one a year now, right?
We just had in March.
No, I'm sorry,
April.
The 15th, 12th. Like what's the?
Oh, this is year 13.
Is it ever going to get retired?
Well, I mean, the thing we're not running out of companies to feature, which is great. I think that, you know, it all depends on, you know, if we can continue to raise the funding so that we can support the program, then it will continue on.
Got it. I just think about like the last Start Norfolk that I did, 2014. That's been a decade since. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that was such a long time ago to then see this thing still
That's awesome.
Chugging along.
Chugging along.
Yeah, welcome to the show, Andrew. What are you born? Are you a Hampton Roads native?
No, my one of my co-founders, Kai, he lives up here in Norfolk. Oh yeah, actually, how's it pronounced? Is it Norfolk or Norfolk? I don't know which one it is.
I don't think anyone does.
Okay.
You know, the way that it was taught to me was that you don't drink, don't smoke, Norfolk. And then yeah. So and I think that
can't come after us if that's the pronunciation is there. I mean, it's.
And I think that if I remember right, I think that there is something along those lines on the stairs going up to the stage at the Norva, telling the performers, you know, the artist, how to pronounce Norfolk.
We were at Harborfest, last weekend? I was looking for you, Tim, but I knew you weren't there. I was expecting to see you and the wife just jamming out. But
who performed?
I'll have to look at it in a second. I can't remember. Easton Corbin, maybe. I knew 4 of his songs, and so I actually like going into it. I was like, oh, okay, because I've been the last 3 years for the Sunday performance, and the other 2 I didn't know who they were, or at least going into it, I didn't know. And this year I was like, okay, I know this. I know a couple of this guy's songs.
Yeah.
I thought it was underwhelming, to be honest, but it was still a decent show. But he kept calling it like Norfolk. We're here in Norfolk. Yeah. I think it's just great. I love it. I love people messing it up, like it's or whatever they think it is. You know, it is. Yeah. You look at it, it says Norfolk. So yeah.
I will say it that way, clown a little bit, but
what do you think the AI is going to say? How are they going to describe this part of the?
That'll be interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I've never tested that, but it would be worth checking out.
The trio banter about the pronunciation of a town.
Because the thing is, like, you don't ever hear anyone say Suffolk.
Huh?
Everyone gets Suffolk right.
I wonder why that is.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I went to a volleyball game here in Virginia Beach, and I first pronounced it as like Norfolk, and someone's like, "Oh, don't say that, it's Norfolk," and I was like, "Okay." I thought it was a friendly volleyball match, but
okay, so like NAFICFIK is how. Okay,
yeah.
I'm gonna play journalist here and be a really good transition artist here. So branding and naming is important. I see two names associated with what you've done: Beige and Vic. What was it? Vix. Yeah.
Oh, Vix. Yeah.
So, what's the difference? I know nothing about you, right? So, like, you know, other than the 7 questions that you answered on this form, what's the story behind that? Is it one? Is it the other? Is it both? Or, like, why are you confusing such a guy? Is it because you hate me? I hate Virginia Tech?
Yeah, so I mean, in the very beginning, like a year ago, we're just like, all right, like we gotta register a company, and then we're just taking like a couple of weeks, just being like, coming up, brainstorming, trying to come up with like the one unique company name that we'll hold on to forever. But it was just taking too long, so we're just like, you know what, like it'd be kind of funny if we just named it like a generic name, like the company. But so we try like a different things, like the company incorporated, the normal company, but all those were taken. So we're just like, oh, okay, what's like a normal sounding name or normal sounding color? And we're like, oh, beige. And so we're just like, all right, beige, let's move on to the actual product development.
And is in terms of them, when you came up with the product, how did that name come about?
Yeah, so at first it was Sweevy. I forgot I think it meant like productivity in Swedish, I think, or French. I forgot. And then that transitioned into VIX, and it's like an acronym to like virtual interactive experience. And so we just stuck with that.
And so explain what is VIX? Explain that to the audience.
Yeah. So VIX basically is like your AI personal trainer. It uses your phone's camera to track and improve your form.
And is it like, what type of exercise do you all do you focus on?
Yeah, so we're right now on the app. You can do a couple variety. We have like 20 of like the most common exercises that people often do. So like bench press, push-ups, squats, flutter kick, marches, etc. And people can download the app, and the app will track your joints, and it will actually draw lines on your body so that you can see how the app is looking at you. And yeah, if you do any of the exercises, it'll count your reps.
What were the workouts again?
Some of them include bench press, marches, planks, plank marches, push-ups, squats.
And you envision these people using this at the actual gym?
We envision them just like anywhere. So if you wanted to do it at home, you want to go to the park, you want to work out in the mountains, the gym, anywhere basically. The great thing about
because there's enough people with those damn cameras out at the gym. It is so annoying when you. Oh my God, Tim! It is so annoying to see someone sitting there with a tripod with their thing.
Oh, they set up a whole tripod?
Oh my God, dude! Honestly, I think they should be banned. It's so annoying because then they like it's like, what are you doing? And then they're like live streaming in the middle of the damn thing. It's just it's. Then they're talking to the person while doing like I don't know. Like that's what the kids are doing these days. It just seems, as the kids would say, sus. You know what I'm saying, Tim? It's a little sus.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. The benefit of obviously people setting up tripods, just for clout and doing all these weird things at the gym is definitely frowned upon. But the main benefit of this is that you need, in order to do like the correct form, you need some sort of third person perspective. And so while it is ideal to set some sort of like tripod or so, it's just so that the camera can get like a better angle on your body so that you're doing the workouts properly. Obviously don't want to set it up in a way where it's an inconvenience to anyone.
So does it actually help you with form if you're doing something wrong? Will it give you some feedback on how to improve?
So in a couple months, we're under development for that, and we already have a prototype that we're testing internally that'll only counts if you're doing, if you're going all the way down, all the way up. It'll give you feedback being like you're not going all the way down. So in a couple months, that version will be out. Right now, we just fed it terminal positions, and what that means is like it only counts if you go all the way down, all the way up. And none of those like pump kind of.
Are you guys physical trainers? Are you
No,
guys
we're
personal
not.
trainers?
No.
Okay, so then my question is on that: how are you determining what is supposed to be all the way up, all the way down? Because you hear things like "don't lock out," but yet Vix is saying "lock out." It sounds like. So how are you determining what's the correct distance for someone to? What's the algorithm basically of to figure out what's correct?
Yeah, so the great thing about the internet is that there are professionals, people who are very experienced in this kind of sorts of field that publicly give out the information and give all these safe and helpful fitness advice. And so we reference the most common average advice from these professionals. And the way that the app determines if you're going all the way down, all the way up, is that it just feeds it two images, like what does all the way down look like from a personal trainer's advice. What does all the way up look like from a personal trainer's perspective?
Interesting. And then like once your workout is done, is there a social aspect to that where does it keep track of your history, show progress, improvement over time? What happens with the information that it collects about the workouts that you've done?
Yeah, and so like we are planning on having some sort of social features where you can like share like how many repetitions, how many workouts you've done during that day. Right now, in terms of data collection, it just will keep track of how many reps you've done. And so you can see how many reps you've done today, this week, or even like a period of all time. And also we have like these achievements, little medals that you earn from doing all these reps. Like if you do 10 reps, then you earn like a 10 rep badge. And so those kinds of histories are stored, but the terms of the social feature, we plan on implementing that in the future.
Gotcha.
What's the inspiration of this? Why create it?
So funny thing, like we were just pivoting from our college startup idea to this one, and we were just trying to find some idea on what to do next. And then our CTO, Leo, comes in, and he's never worked out a day in his life, but he built like this prototype in a couple of days that like that tracks your form and counts your reps for you. And then Kai and I were like looking at each other, we're like, hey, like we forget how many reps we've done too. Like this seems like a cool product. And so we just after that went online, asked a bunch of people, try to get some validation, and then started from there.
So I saw that you all had, I don't know if it was the whole group of the group of you, but the first idea did not succeed. What was that first idea that you came up with? And then what was it, the three of you that came up with the idea?
So it was Kai, my co-founder, who came up with the idea. It was called Reserved. Basically, it was like Airbnb, but for parking. And so he saw an issue with parking during college football games. So people couldn't find parking. People were parking illegally on other people's driveways. And so with this, it's like homeowners, they can rent out their driveways, get some commission in return. And that was it was going pretty good. But some um, unfortunate misfortunes happened. So that's what led us to pivot.
What
like,
misfortune?
because there's other people that worked on that idea. So like, what was there one particular thing or two particular things that happened in terms of why it didn't work?
Yeah, I think so we've been through a lot of founding team members, and
Hmm.
this is during college. Everyone had other tasks. This kind of startup was seen more as like a part-time thing because obviously you have to, um, serve your personal interests the most. And so as like the startup and company progressed, um, I think there were just some internal conflicts, just like trying to balance this startup with your full-time job and other responsibilities. And
Hmm.
so some co-founder drama broke out, and also like the co-founders they had full-time jobs of their own, which are all very stressful,
Gotcha.
working
So
10
it
hours a
wasn't
day.
a, it wasn't necessarily a market thing that told you that it was not a good idea. It was more an internal aspect.
Right.
Got it. Yeah, because there's been a couple other, or at least I know one other person that was working on that idea, and it's just it's one of those things where it's like I'm surprised that that doesn't exist already.
Yeah, it's we were pretty excited. We held a bunch of tailgates at Virginia Tech and got like over 1,000 signups from students, homeowners. So yeah, I mean the whole journey was fun regardless.
Yeah, yeah, because people were doing that like at Richmond International Speedway, like
Hmm.
when NASCAR comes to town twice a year, and they're like, so from what I've heard, yeah, like they will rent out like places for the RVs to park, like for like the whole week. But the money that they make over the course of those two times, it was just an ungodly amount of money that they were able to generate from just parking.
Yeah, I mean I can share some photos if you guys want to see like from like that tailgate event.
I mean, that's crazy. And I
Yeah,
guess with football, I don't know, is at least eight home games. I'm assuming 8 or 9.
yeah, it's a lot.
College usually 6.
Is it 6?
Yeah,
Hmm.
6 to 7. How old are you?
I am 25.
Are you full time on this now?
Yes, I've been full time, even with the previous startup. I was doing that full time too. So yeah,
And then were the other
What's
co-founders just not full time the same way, and so they just didn't treat it the way that you were anticipating them to?
so in the beginning of the startup, everyone else had full time jobs, and then for me, I was just in a very fortunate position. I was like convincing my friends and family, being like, "This is a great idea. I got an awesome team working on this. Like, I know I'm just like I'm not a Class A member, but the people that are working on this are very talented. Um, I'm gonna do this full time." And yeah, they were reluctant. They were just like, "Are you sure? No one's like full time or anything." But I just went full time just because I felt like a spark in that moment. Um, and obviously, uh, my other co-founders, they had to, they don't have that luxury of convincing their families just to continually support them for years on end. So, but when this whole startup began, journey began, I think Leo, he just left his job at IBM to work full time on the previous startup last year. He was just like, yeah, I'm just going to commit full time. But yeah, unfortunately, the whole drama at the same time, the whole drama spewed out, and it's like the company dissolved, and so we're like, oh crap, he just left his job, like we gotta keep him. Like he's super smart and valuable, and Kai later on he left his full-time job too. He's just like, yeah, like I want to fully commit to this. Let's do this fully. And so yeah, eventually everyone just worked full time on this, and I'd say it's been about a year that everyone's been working on this full time since.
Man. And so remind me again how you all ended up here in Hampton Roads.
Oh yeah, so Kai, he bought a house here in Norfolk, and so we were a previous cohort of the 757 startup studios for our previous startup, the one that's dissolved.
Got it. What's the what is the entrepreneurial landscape in Blacksburg like when you're going to tech? Is that something that's heavily promoted and encouraged?
I'd say so. There is the Apex Center that Virginia Tech has as its entrepreneurial program. Students can take it. I know they hold competitions. They hold. I think they refurnished this one building just for the entrepreneurs, and honestly, it's like a gold haven. Like I would suggest your son to go there. Like no one's there. The the furniture is so modernized, and it's like AC is on all the time. So definitely like it's a sweet spot. It's a golden spot. And
Really?
you can enter there for free too. Like just have a business of your own and you can work there privately. And that was awesome. Also, they have like mentors of their own that come in from time to time to mentor other students. But I mean, in terms of just entrepreneurial ecosystem, like if you have the time, you have a plethora of just students just that you can learn from. You can ask your professors, like as you know, your Virginia Tech students, you can ask your Virginia Tech professors. So yeah, I'd say it's pretty good in general.
Would you have been a? Do you think that you would have gone down the entrepreneurial pathway had it not been for tech, or was that always just in your blood?
Probably I want to say yes, but if I'm just being truthful, probably not. It was just when I met Kai and when he was starting his company, you know, I just came into my off-campus housing. I was moving in with these people and I met Kai. He told me what he was doing and I was just like, huh, that sounds really fun. And that sounds like an awesome idea. So I've just found myself just helping him naturally, just pitching him new ideas, even though I wasn't even part of the company yet. And it just became more and more fun. It was that or I'm a cinema major. So it's either that or just me, you know, making films, hopefully becoming a director or a producer one day. But yeah, I'd say maybe it's because of tech, just because I met him at tech. So maybe.
Do we need? Is there anything else about Virginia Tech that we need to talk about? Because we got to get this conversation done. Like we've talked way too much about that school. Like let's remove it from the like.
Well, yeah.
Anyway, yeah, I'm kidding.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, one last thing I'll say is like they make you pay all these mandatory fees for their extracurricular activities. So make every use of tech and its resources.
I think every school does that.
Yeah. Unfortunately, not a lot of students actually use the resources. They just
I think you can pull back though. I think they bulk put it in there, and if you don't want to do it, you can pull it out. But people don't realize that.
Oh no, they make you pay.
No, well, at West Virginia, you could pull it out. You could say, "No, I don't want to do that."
Well, I should have gone there. I asked them, like, "Why am I paying this? I don't even use this." And they're like, "Oh, it's part of the mandatory fees you have to pay." I'm like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, so there's like tickets to the games. There's like the rec
center.
Oh,
for real?
All those things are baked into tuition. But if you don't want to do that, you can at least when I went to West Virginia, you could pull that out.
Oh man, yeah, I can't do that at tech.
That's blasphemy.
Wow.
That's ridiculous. All right, so you say you're super privileged. It sounds like I think you said like your family has helped you support you in this manner. Is that a conversation that you have with them? Is that a pitch? Like, what does that look like? Because the overwhelming majority of people are not in that situation where someone can bankroll them. What does that kind of look like?
So I think one of the things that's really helped convince them is just like the amount of hours, the amount of work I'm willing to put into this. Also just my lifestyle. Like I don't spend money frivolously, just like, spending it on like luxury goods or buying video games. Like it's just bare minimum food and housing. And I only just work and I constantly update them on what I'm doing, on our progress. And I think from their end, just seeing the dedication I put in and the amount of effort I put into this, I think that's helped convince them more of continuing to support me. But then again, like, I know that that's not enough for most people's cases. So I'm fortunate in my specific scenario.
Yeah, that's yeah, it's interesting. You know, like you're very, very fortunate, and like, yeah, I mean, like, do you, do you have a specific runway in terms of like, did your parents or your family say, hey, you got X amount of years, and then you know, then that well runs dry, or
I mean, yeah, the previous company for sure, because like they were a bit hesitant on that. But you know, but with this current idea, I talked to my dad about it, and you know, he's an expert in sales and building companies. So from his perspective, he was super excited about this idea. He's like, this is like the most exciting thing. I could definitely see a future for this. And in terms of how much time I've left, I guess it depends. You know, if I'd say I'm good for a little while. I'm still taking on debt because like they're not paying me, like I'm not asking for the whole amount because
sure,
I personally I feel it's a bit too much ask at that point. So bits I you know, however much they're comfortable giving me while balancing their own personal life, I'm completely fine and fortunate and thankful for that. So you know, if I max out my credit cards, then bounce transfer, and then if this thing, hopefully, if one day this thing goes off, pay it all off later on. It's not. I'm not endorsing this advice or this strategy at all. It's just like when just talking about runway in specific, just trying to extend as long as possible, just because of all these positive indicators. So yeah.
What's your dad's email? I want to reach out to him.
Oh yeah.
Well, it just it is, now is the time, right? I mean, like, you don't have necessarily a family or a house, or you in terms of like your personal expenses and burn rate are probably the lowest they're ever going to be right now. So if you're going to give it a shot, you know, now's the time to do it. So
yeah,
kudos,
I mean,
kudos
like,
to you.
exactly. Like, it's not like my parents like really rich or anything. Like they're just living comfortably.
Where do they live?
So all my family lives in Korea right now. So I'm the only relative in the US. My dad used to be in Seattle though, but he just recently moved out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you say there's positive indicators. It's a very interesting, I hate that word. But I'm gonna use it anyway. It's an interesting industry, the fitness industry, multi-billion-dollar industry, not just with gyms, but people buying fitness plans. We talked earlier about Strava having their own fitness plans and plenty of different training plans on there. But I'll tell you this, one of the most interesting things is I started more seriously weightlifting maybe 2.5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I followed a plan for a while, and I felt like, you know, I would see the gains that people talk about, you know, the gains being, you know, getting stronger. Tim's done this with running, right? I'm sure you've seen it with the hydro as well, the rowing machine. And you do it longer, you start to see progress. The one thing that's very interesting to me, difference between maybe running, triathlons, and weightlifting is, I think you can kind of look at the endurance stuff and say, okay, I feel like I'm getting better because of this. And while that same aspect of that is in, you know, the weight room, you don't know if you're actually doing the moves right, like, ever. And I actually thought about hiring a personal trainer just to say, hey, look, like, is this the right way to do a bench press? Am I doing a lat pull down the correct way? Because you can watch it on YouTube and it seems like it's okay, this is what you're doing. But then you see like certain guys go in on some of these videos and they're seeing just like this little piece that's like, oh, you're actually not using your back, you're using your biceps because you're doing it like this. And so the fact that something like this could come full circle and help people in that way. Hopefully not at a gym with tripods and cameras out like that. But it's an industry that I think is primed for that. It's just whether or not adoption comes through, because I would be willing to bet that 99% of the people at the gym are doing at least one move incorrectly.
Yeah, it's
I don't know if there was
having
a question or a point to that. It was just saying that like there is most people don't know what they're doing, myself included in there.
It's funny how like you can watch a lot of videos and how to do the exercises properly, but when it comes to the actual thing, you can't, you need to have some sort of third person perspective on, mirroring it. Otherwise, you're just, if you're doing a bench press, all you're just looking at is like the ceiling. You can't really see yourself. And so, the great thing about this is that everyone or most people have smartphones nowadays. And so you don't really need, heavy and expensive hardware. You can just download this app and you can have like your own personal trainer anywhere. So if you want to practice at home, that's great.
So it's live on the App Store and Google Play Store right now.
So right now we're focusing more on iOS. Initially, we did have Android, but last year we went out to Virginia Beach to ask a bunch of people like, oh, what do you think about this? We held this competition where it's like, oh, if you do I think it was like if you do 5 push-ups and 10 squats, you get like a free drink. But it's like, no alcohol. But the sad part was like out of like the 60-ish people that we talked to, like 59 of them had iPhones, and we're like, oh shoot, we have an Android. We even went back out there a couple of weeks ago to do the same exact thing, and it was like the same demographic. Practically everyone had an iPhone, and so we're glad we focused more on iOS so that we can get more in-person surveys from that. But
we haven't had an app conversation like this in a long time. But I recall 15 years ago, Apple, very specific one. I mean, at that point there was one phone, if you will, so that it didn't change from that. And Android was always 10 times harder because there was different sizes of the phones, and obviously the operating systems are different, stuff like that. But are those still conversations that you guys have? That's like, okay, because they have tools now. There are softwares now that I guess don't necessarily go straight natively.
Render everything, right?
I can't think of the tech words these days. But why not just go with something like that? Why go so specific to iOS? Like what's?
Well, I think that one thing that's interesting is it is proven is more money is spent on iOS than on the Google platform. So
more money is okay. So people are willing to pay for apps. By what percentage? Do you know?
I don't remember. Andrew, maybe you know, but from that standpoint, a lot of people target iOS first just because people are more prone to spend money.
Well, you think about the biggest company ever made, Instagram. I would think that that's one of the biggest companies from an app perspective. They were iOS to start for so long, and they used that as kind of like a sales tool for people who on Android, where they're like, oh, well, now you got to do it here. And then they got really excited about it when they moved over. But
yeah, I think it's just like Apple has more of like a kind of like a little bit higher brand. I know that in the US, iPhones are more dominant. In terms of apps too, there are way more Android apps than there are than on iOS. And so there's like that exclusivity involved. It's because it goes through a very robust review process on iOS. So that could be one explanation to that.
Yeah, when you started talking about this experiment, I was thinking that you're going to say 59 out of the 60 people couldn't do 5 push-ups, or So what was the result of that experiment from a physical fitness standpoint? Do you remember?
So everyone's able to do it. But the issue was we saw people where their arms were 90 degrees when they're doing push-ups, their elbows are very protruded outwards when ideally it should be more elbows tucked in. Also, like another interesting things, like I've talked to gym owners and personal trainers who train with their clients. They've even mentioned that most of their clients don't know how to do a proper squat or a push-up. And so they have to spend like an hour or 30 minutes just teaching them how to do the basic forms and stuff like that. So one idea that we had is like, okay, well, use our app to help train them doing the basic forms, and then they'll get the most bang of their buck with an actual human personal trainer by doing more complex movements.
And it's amazing. You don't need as much weight when you have proper form.
Yeah, it should be ideally be just done with like body weight or just some bar. Just get the form correct, and then just add more once you're comfortable.
Okay, let's talk about the actual process. I just downloaded the app, so and maybe it walks me through when I get it. But horizontal, vertical, tripod, lean up against something. Does it have to be 90 degrees? Like, how does all that stuff work? Because there's a lot of user error that could be in there to really track how does that go down?
So right now, like you can do it at any angle you want. Like we just trained the data. We trained our AI trainer to count reps from any side. So you can put it up on a tripod. There's like a feature where you can like flip the camera. So if you're, trainer mode, so if you're out with your buddy, you can see if they're doing their workout correctly. But yeah, you can lean up against the wall, do anything you want with it, as long as your body is fully in frame. And right now it's still at the beta stage, but it'll count your reps.
It's interesting. Beta stage, but you're still charging.
Yeah.
Historically, you would think that beta is testing out to go through without a price behind. How'd you come to that conclusion?
Yeah, so we've been a year in development for this, and in terms of just getting metrics, that we've had a lot of beta testers try it out, but we're going on this long, and one of the most key indicators of, I think the most useful metric is just how many people are actually paying for this app. And so, you have there's a 7-day free trial on there that you can try out for free and then cancel anytime. But we think that the current price is much lower than any competition or most competitions out there on the fitness app market. And so it's just more of like, get people to try it. If it brings value to them and they're willing to pay for it, then that's a really useful metric for us. So it's just all about just getting some sort of metric, more of the positive indicators for us.
What is the price point?
So right now it's about $10 a month, and that's just with how new it is. We do plan on increasing it to about $20 a month, and the reason behind that is like right now within the app market, there's like these AI workout generated apps that charge between like $12 to $20 just for the AI generated workouts. And then there's personal trainers out there who charge on average $200 to $300 a month. And so this just seems also, I think Tempo and Tonal, they charge between $24 to $60 a month with a 1-year commitment. And so just balancing all of that, $20 seems to be a good value price point for now. But never know for sure. Just like a educated guess in terms of just value.
Yeah, I guess because one could, I guess my question is like, what are you focused on in terms of the product roadmap? Is it adding new exercises? Is it adding training plans? Because in terms of once people figure out and they get their frame or their form right, what's sticky about the product that's going to keep them using the platform?
Yeah, I think one of the kind of highlights of the future is just the motivation accountability. We've talked to a lot of people and just had a lot of casual conversations with them, like about like what helps them in their fitness lifestyles, and it's just like proper form is number one, motivation and accountability. And so the way that we plan on to retain users is like reward them and and also having just really good statistics just to show them their personal KPIs that they've had over the past journey. And so we also, this is kind of like an idea that we've had, but like hold competitions, partner with like health and wellness companies so that users can participate and potentially win like prizes on like a frequent basis.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but just right now, just having the core product, the accurate form tracker and rep counter, just building on top of that, we can be very, we can do a lot of branches off of that. But basically, just like copy what all these other fitness apps are doing, what's popular, what's working for a lot of other people.
Well, even
And
like I think that Spotify was really the company that did it first, just the annual replay or whatever the heck they call it. Yeah, and so many other. I mean, Strava then did your end of year recap thing. But that stuff is super popular and powerful in terms of like you did X amount of push-ups and squats this year, kind of thing. I mean, it's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, and it's also good because like once we fully implement this trainer, every push-up that you do, every squat that you do, they're proper form. So there's also that aspect to think about. It's not like you just did 15 push-ups, you did 15 proper push-ups. And there's also that achievement to be proud of as well.
I'm looking forward to doing the Juicy Peach challenge later. I'm not sure if you're familiar, Tim, but that's a challenge on the Vix app that I'm pretty damn excited about, to be honest. I don't even know what it entails, but
is that a squat thing?
Nothing like a Juicy Peach
to round out the gluteus maximus with squats.
20 squats, 20 lower body bridges, 20 I'm not doing this. I hate lunges. Nope. I'm done.
Don't you want a Juicy Peach though?
I want a semi-juicy peach, I guess.
A little bruised peach.
I'll take a bruised peach. Yeah,
That's really cool.
The worst exercise, the worst calisthenics, the worst thing. I despise a lunge. It is literally the one thing when I see it on a workout, I'm like, oh, it is the apps. I hate them, Tim. They're
tough. They're tough. Yeah, I get it.
And then there was one recently where it was like have the barbell on and do a lunge. I'm like, oh God, it's terrible.
Oh yeah, any cardio exercise that kills me.
It would be interesting. Like, do you all collect data on like what exercise has the worst form across the board? Like, I would imagine like the number of people that could do like a proper pull up or chin up, is probably like close to zero. I mean, it just.
Yeah. So right now, the only data that we really collect is like people who sign up using like the login, and then we can just see how many reps one anonymous user has done. So when any user downloads the app, they're anonymous. Like we cannot tell who you are, but we can see how many reps you've done for a particular exercise. But that would be cool, just like seeing on average like how many people can really do a push-up or a squat or a pull-up. One interesting thing that we found when we did an experiment out on Virginia Beach a couple of weeks ago was like, can people do 10 push-ups exactly? And I'd say like a little over half of the people like couldn't properly count to 10 push-ups. I think it's like because they're too focused on achieving proper form. But that was an interesting thing to discover too.
Well, yeah, workout brain is really that's something. I mean, like I know, like for me, from a running standpoint, doing long runs or just whenever you're just totally exerted, like remembering laps, reps, segments. I mean, it's really, really challenging.
Yeah. And I know like the popular belief is like go until failure. This is just to save people time. Like you don't want to go on forever. So if your personal PR is like 30 push-ups, then do 30 push-ups, be done with it. Know that you did 30 proper push-ups. And yeah.
So do you? What do you think? Like, can you put AirPods in, and you have like a David Goggins encouraging you to knock out a couple more reps, or is that something potentially in the future that you can do to keep the motivation going forward?
Yeah, the funny thing was, like, since you mentioned that in the beginning, we're like, wouldn't it be funny if we had some sort of like AI David Goggins just roasting your form, just like absolutely just shredding you, and we're just like, oh, but we probably have to get permission from him. But
but that's definitely something that's doable, right?
Yeah,
I mean, like
it's doable for sure.
You could, and the person could set the sensitivity in terms of how hard they want to be roasted, because everyone is. Zach might be in the background doing push-ups right now, testing this whole thing out. But yeah, that's totally something that you all could do, is set that sensitivity level in terms of everyone needs a different level of encouragement.
Oh yeah, just like we're thinking like soft mode.
0 correct push-ups, by the way.
Gotcha.
It's terrible.
Oh
Sorry,
man,
I apologize.
No, that's interesting. How much time goes into training the model? And do you have that technical expertise in house, or is that something you outsource?
Oh yeah, so that's something that's my responsibility. So I train the data to train our AI trainer with the correct posture, and then so yeah, it's all produced in house. That's what's also like really good about our current team, is that everyone covers like the basic areas needed to develop this product. So no need to hire contractors or outreach or anything like that. Saves a lot of money.
Zach, how are you feeling, buddy?
I'm pissed off, to be honest.
Yeah, but it's like, the current AI industry is like a boom, like these days. Like I've heard people ask like how are you sure, the questions like, how are you sure like you're on the right path and everything like that. But you just see like on the news, like NVIDIA's CEO just coming out with the new Blackwell chip, and then Google coming out with Gemini. Also, did you know you can win a DeLorean if you win Google's Gemini API competition?
No.
Yeah,
it's like an old DeLorean, or are they creating a new one?
It's like an electric DeLorean, I think. Yeah,
they just call those
but like
Tesla?
I'm not too sure on the specifics.
Yeah, they don't get along anymore.
Yeah, but it's great how everyone's focusing on the AI. Like that's how heavy they're focusing. They're holding competitions, all the news, the boom, AI trends coming out. So I'm just really excited to see what other AI products are out there. Yeah,
I'm still just thinking about how I didn't do a legit push-up, so I got nothing else to say. I mean, it's wonky, and I'm like, I feel like I'm doing a pretty good push-up here. I feel like I'm going pretty low. What else do you want me to do here, Andrew? Like, I'm throwing in the red towel. I'm not happy about this right now. So,
gotcha.
How many did you knock out, Zach?
Like 7.
Okay.
But I'm watching the thing.
Yeah.
And it's just yelling at me. Like, you suck. Didn't actually say that. But I'm seeing the stick man, right? The stick man's looking at me, and he's like, your body, your push-up form is a travesty, and we need to work on it. And so that's all I'm gonna do all day now, is I'm gonna try and get one perfect push-up.
There you go.
Yeah, I hopefully will add as we continue to develop it. Once we have the form feedback feature out, like it will help guide a lot of people at home on just proper technique in general.
Is there a recording aspect of it, or only in the moment?
There is. Do you mean recording as like saving like the video?
Yeah. So I did 10. I did a bench press 10 times. I can't be looking at that while I'm doing it. So what does that replay look like?
Oh, so
I can do it, but
Yeah. So when you like start the workout and like you see like the joints are drawing and everything, so we don't record anything. That's one of the highlights. So versus you like recording yourself, uploading into some sort of server, and that analyzes your form and it gets back to you. We do it all live, and that's the most complicated part about the algorithms because it's doing a bunch of like thousands of calculations every single frame. So there's no need, that eliminates the need to record, upload. You can just get it there right on the spot.
But how am I, if I'm doing a pull-up,
mm-hmm.
How am I seeing my result? If I'm doing a bench press, how am I seeing my result in real time?
So for now, the results would just be if you did like one rep.
It'll just say you did a rep. It won't show you where you actually. Okay, I gotcha.
Yeah, in the future, yeah, that's definitely, we have the capabilities to do that. It's just the resources.
Just like to save it to your camera roll. Or...
Oh, sorry.
You don't know where you're screwing up.
Oh yeah, I guess if you like do an attempt and it's not counting the rep, then that would just be an indicator that you didn't do it ideally.
Right, but you don't know what ideally was wrong.
Right. But I mean, the way we're working on a architecture right now that allows like the phone to give you feedback verbally. So we just set, some more parameters, and so now it'll be like you're not going down low. Your elbow is too high; it's not going down low enough, and so we're setting up the architecture for that right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a lot that goes into it, and it's a slow start, but once you get the framework in place, then things will pick up speed quite a bit and grow exponentially in terms of how smart it becomes.
Oh, exactly. Like Leo, oh my God, he's super smart, and he's just been cranking out like the coding, the back end aspect of it all. And it's just like, man, a lot goes into it.
I guess that would be really like some valuable feedback in terms of like, Zach, your back is arched too much, or tuck your elbow in, whatever the case is, getting on the spot feedback or instant feedback.
Yeah. Yeah, because otherwise you just don't know what went wrong. You just know that went wrong.
Yeah, definitely be helpful for anyone at home. I know not a lot of people can afford personal trainers, and so this will be hopefully a better alternative for anyone to use. And it's not like, it's like on average like a 10th the price of a personal trainer, and so this should just be, hopefully it's used as a tool to help people.
Yeah, I think that, and it's a great, at least the way that I think. Like like if you all focused on the core of, these are the core exercises that you should master before getting a gym membership or hiring a personal trainer, you can knock out a lot of this stuff at home. And like for me, it's like, well, if I can't commit to doing it X amount of days per week over X amount of weeks or months, then I'm not going to spend the money on a gym membership or a personal trainer. So, and like we were saying, you can do all this now without a lot of weight, and you want to make sure that you master that form without heavy weights to prevent injury and to have the maximum results. So it's a great way to test out, dip your toe in the water, so to speak, and start your physical fitness journey.
Yeah, exactly. And another exciting thing is just like, what has changed in teaching fitness since like back in the DVR days. Is like you see a person on screen and you follow along with them.
Who was that guy? Billy Blanks? Was that his name? Right.
That was also not a teenage. That was also Mighty Morphin Power Ranger. They're like, you obviously don't.
Yeah. So it's like the technology or the method that people learn fitness, it hasn't changed in a really long time. And so this could be a pivotal moment to hopefully make it widely available for everyone. I know Xbox Connect did something like this for everyone. But yeah, back then you had to actually buy like the hardware and everything. But now like everyone already bought the hardware. You don't need to buy anything else.
Wow, that's really interesting. What's that?
Did you say you don't work out?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Oh, I work out. I tried to.
I thought you said that earlier that you hadn't. Okay, I apologize.
I gotcha.
I just thought that was going to be hilarious if you didn't.
That would be funny.
Tim?
I don't know. I lost my train of thought.
I apologize.
No, that's cool. You're having fun though, Andrew? You and the team, you're having fun with this journey?
Oh yeah, like I'm very fortunate. Like my team's awesome. Like we met each other since college. We've known each other for about 5 years now. And you know, Kai, he's super talented, super passionate. He has that strong entrepreneurial spirit. And Leo, he's very fierce at what he does, but he's also very kind and humble at the same time. But you know, it's funny. He comes up to me. He's like, "Oh man," like when he does these fantastic accomplishments, like from the back end side, he's like, "Oh yeah, like I just did it," and I'm just like, "What? This is amazing! This is like super hard thing to do." And then you got Kai coming in with like all his amazing designs, and like at first we set up this skeleton, like this plan, but then he goes like a step beyond it, and like now the designs that he's cooking up right now looks awesome. And so just having that mentality, having people willing to do this full-time bootstrapped, you know, with like very little revenue coming in, like it's just awesome. I'm very fortunate to have like those two as my co-founders for sure.
Yeah. I do hear that that you guys hustle pretty hard and put a lot of hours in. So
oh yeah, like the assembly, like the startup studios, they're like, oh yeah, 24/7 access. And I'm like, sweet. They got showers, they got microwave, they got electricity and Wi-Fi, water, unlimited coffee. That sounds good. And so whenever we can, we just sleep here and just sleep, work, and just having that hustle culture. And I don't, you know, again, we're just full time, so we have the luxury of doing that. But yeah, it's awesome.
Well, and like the thing is, if you guys are doing 80-hour weeks and you compare that to someone doing a 20-hour week, you know, you're going to get there 4 times faster than they are. So I dig it.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. And at first we're just like, you know, we were trying to be more stringent, like more strict on like hours. We're like, we have to work more than a full-time employee. Like, it doesn't make sense that we're founders and we're working less. So yeah, definitely the balance of like, you know, even if you work like 60 hours a week, but you're not being efficient, then that's just, you know, at the same time, that's not good either.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely what really helped us is just clear communication. I think back before Reserved, one of the main mistakes that we made was like, we would do like these daily stand-ups. Our tasks would be very vague. And then like everyone just dispersed, and then no one knew what everyone else was doing. And so tasks would collide. Like some people would be doing the same exact thing as the other. And then the deadlines were getting so long. So yeah, now like we're all very communicative. We separate, you know, personal versus business, right? Like this is our company too. So if we need to be kind of fierce, then we have that business conversation while being respectful at the same time. So yeah.
So what you just worked 10, 12 hours. You got a shower at assembly. You're going to go have a celebratory dinner. Where do you go to? Where's your go-to spot? What's the first thing that you're looking to grab off the menu at your favorite place?
Oh man, favorite place, Walmart. Just like Kai has a barbecue like kind of place at his place, so we just get a bunch of meat from Walmart and just have a huge barbecue with corn, potatoes.
I love it.
But restaurants are too expensive, like the taxes and tips, and just like, oh my, we don't have that kind of money. We're bootstrapped. Let's go to Walmart and buy some meat. And,
I love it.
Yeah, much cheaper.
We heard a lot of answers to that.
Yeah.
Wally World was not one of them that I ever anticipated.
I love it. I think that might be my favorite answer, though. It might be my.
Yeah, it's like it's so expensive. So like, if you can do it yourself.
That to me, that's what pisses me off about restaurants these days. And it's like you go somewhere and you look at the cheeseburger and it's $18, and you're like, I can make 10 of those for the same price. And it's just like, what are you guys doing? Like, why do you think this is okay? Like, you're using a half a potato that costs me 30 cents, you even less, 8 buns, you're using really low grade meat. So it doesn't even matter. 80-20 is $4 a pound max at the, it's probably $2 or $3 if there some restaurants coming in here yelling at me, Zach, that's not how the numbers work. Look, I think anyone that understands math can do that calculation. They have the Walmart grill that they got for $40. They could put it's just obnoxious, and I really hope that restaurants understand that their food, if it's going to be that expensive. Actually, someone the other day said I went somewhere and I had a $22 cheeseburger, and it felt like it was a $22 cheeseburger. They felt like it was actually good.
I don't know if there's such thing. I don't even know. I don't like to pay $22 for a steak.
Man, I remember when McDonald's used to have a 99-cent cheeseburger, but now it's like, oh my God, I can't even afford a cheeseburger.
Bell's dollar menu was $3. Right? Their whole promotion is everything for $3. I'm like,
the Arby's 5 for $5 roast beef sandwiches. Man, that was the thing back in the day. I used to
that.
Well, like, I don't know, man. Like, is it a thing? I was traveling back home last week. I stopped. We were in the airport. That was the only option for us to eat. We were at the place that likes to say my pleasure with everything. Mm-hmm. And we go to pay, and then we see the whole flipping of the.
They're doing that crap now too.
Well, that's my question. I'm just like, when did that? Are all of those now a tipping thing, or was that just there? Because like,
when did tips go from 25, 30, 35? I mean, it's just like, you suck as a server and you want 30%. Like, look in the freaking mirror, kid.
Yeah, that's when you look for the other option. But Andrew, I'm like,
to always be huge. That was like a really good tip, and now all of a sudden you're doing less work, and you think deserve more.
Yeah. I mean,
Andrew, I'm like you, man. I no kidding, either eat leftovers or peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for lunch 4 out of 5 days a week. Dude, I will yummy down on peanut butter and jelly, man. And
I think that's what I'm going to do today. I'm like thinking in my head, what am I having for lunch? And now I'm like, okay, like it might be that PB&J. I haven't had one of those in a while.
Yeah. Yeah, occasionally have
on a hamburger roll, by the way, because you know what, you don't need to buy bread if you got hot dog rolls.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely. When they have like big events here, like there's a wedding that happened, I asked like the caterers, "Hey, can you leave all that food here?" And they're like, "Sure, we're about to throw this out anyways." So there were like a bunch of meatballs and like catering trays that were just like surviving off of. So
good for you.
It's ridiculous that they throw away all that food. They should take it somewhere.
I know, it was so good. I was like, pulled pork, meatballs, like pasta. Like, why are you guys throwing this away? Just give it to me.
Man, that's great. I love it. I don't know if we'll find it. We almost have to retire this question because we found the best answer.
No.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, just having a fun time in this startup journey. That's it, and having no regrets. Most important thing.
And next week's sponsor, Wally World, coming up next.
There you go. We'll ship you some food if once they come on board as a sponsor.
Oh, we welcome it.
They're going to get delivered from Drone Up.
That's right.
So it makes sense. Yeah,
that's awesome.
All right, Andrew, appreciate it. Enjoyed it.
Oh, I did too. This was awesome. This was fun.
Thanks, Andrew.